Betrayal in the Stars. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with an otherworldly radiance, its crystalline walls refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Delegates from 100 worlds milled about, their varied forms a testament to the diversity of life in the cosmos. At the center of it all stood the Zorans, tall, ethereal beings with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of ages. Ambassador Zara, the Zoran representative, stepped forward, her movements graceful and deliberate. "We are honored to be considered for membership in this esteemed body," she said, her voice resonating telepathically in the minds of all present. The Zoran people pledged to uphold the principles of peace and cooperation that the Galactic Council embodies. From his position near the back of the hall, human diplomat Jake Morrison watched with a mixture of awe and unease. Earth, still a relative newcomer to the galactic stage, had been granted observer status only recently. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The council members' thoughts were carefully guarded, but occasional flashes of emotion leaked through. Anticipation, fear, and something darker he couldn't quite place. High Counselor Vex, a towering insectoid with gleaming carapace, stepped forward. "We welcome the Zorans with open arms," he announced, mandibles clicking. "Your species' dedication to peace and your remarkable telepathic abilities will be a great asset to our alliance." As Vex spoke, Jake noticed subtle movements among the Council's security forces. Guards were quietly ushering most of the diplomatic court out of the main chamber, citing a routine security procedure. Jake's hand instinctively moved to the small neural disruptor hidden beneath his formal robes, a precaution that suddenly felt prescient. Ambassador Zara and her entourage moved to the center of the chamber, ready for the formal induction ceremony. The remaining council members formed a circle around them, an action that should have been symbolic of unity. But to Jake's trained eye, it looked more like a noose tightening. "And now," Vex intoned, "we shall link minds to welcome our new brothers and sisters." The Zorans closed their eyes, opening their thoughts in a gesture of trust and solidarity. In that moment, Jake saw Vex give a nearly imperceptible nod. What happened next would be seared into Jake's memory forever. The chamber erupted in blinding light and screams of agony. Energy weapons concealed within the walls opened fire, cutting down the unsuspecting Zorans. Their telepathic death cries reverberated through the minds of everyone present, a psychic shockwave of pain and betrayal. Jake's diplomatic training warred with his human instincts. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to help, to stop this madness. But he knew that revealing himself now would mean certain death. With practiced precision, he activated his neural disruptor, creating a small bubble of psychic static around himself. It wouldn't hold for long, but it might buy him enough time to escape. As chaos engulfed the chamber, Jake slipped behind a pillar, his eyes darting frantically for an exit. He spotted a service tunnel, partially hidden behind an ornamental tapestry. It was a risk, but staying put was certain doom. Jake made a break for it, using the confusion to his advantage. Just as he reached the tunnel entrance, a stray energy blast struck near his feet, sending him tumbling through the opening. The smell of ozone and burning fabric filled his nostrils as he scrambled deeper into the tunnel. Behind him, he could hear Vex's voice booming. "Find the human observer. No witnesses." Jake's heart pounded as he navigated the labyrinthine maintenance tunnels. His diplomatic corps training had included basic schematics of the council station, but the reality was far more complex. Every turn could lead to salvation or a dead end. As he ran, Jake's mind raced, trying to make sense of what he'd just witnessed. The Galactic Council, supposed peacekeepers of the galaxy, had just committed an act of genocide. But why? The Zorans were peaceful, their only crime being potential. Their telepathic abilities, if developed further, could have made them formidable. Was this all about maintaining the balance of power? A distant sound of boots on metal told Jake his pursuers were closing in. He needed to find a way off this station, and fast. Up ahead, he saw a junction leading to the docking bays. It was his best chance. Jake burst into the docking area, immediately scanning for a viable escape craft. Most of the ships were large diplomatic vessels, too complex to pilot alone. Then he spotted it, a sleek courier ship, designed for speed and stealth. If he could just reach it. "Halt, human." The guttural voice froze Jake in his tracks. He turned to see a Dratchid enforcer, its scaled hide bristling with organic weaponry. "Your presence here is a mistake we intend to correct." Jake raised his hand slowly. "I'm an accredited diplomat. This is a violation of interstellar law." The Dratchid's toothy maw twisted into what might have been a smile. "Laws change, human. The galaxy is entering a new age, and your kind has no place in it." Time seemed to slow. Jake saw the Dratchid's arm cannon begin to glow, preparing to fire. In that moment, he made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. Jake dropped to the ground, rolling towards a nearby cargo container. The Dratchid's blast sizzled overhead, melting a hole in the bulkhead behind him. In one fluid motion, Jake came up with his neural disruptor, no longer caring about maintaining his cover. The disruptor's beam struck the Dratchid square in its sensory cluster. The alien howled, its nervous system overloaded by the burst of psychic static. Jake didn't wait to see it fall. He sprinted for the courier ship, praying that his override codes would work. To his relief, the ship's hatch hissed open. Jake threw himself into the pilot's seat, his fingers flying over the controls. The engines roared to life just as alarms began blaring throughout the docking bay. Unauthorized launch detected. Security to docking bay 3. Jake gritted his teeth as he guided the ship out of its berth. The station's defense systems were coming online, particle beams lancing out at the fleeing vessel. Jake's hands danced across the controls, chinking and weaving to avoid the barrage. As soon as he cleared the station's gravity well, Jake punched in the coordinates for the nearest human outpost and engaged the faster-than-light drive. The stars stretched into lines of light, and the council station vanished behind him. Only then did Jake allow himself to breathe. He slumped in the pilot's chair, the full weight of what he'd witnessed crashing down upon him. Tears streamed down his face, for the Zorans, for the death of innocents, for the monumental task that now lay before him. Humanity had to be warned. The galaxy as they knew it was about to change forever, and Earth, unknowing and unprepared, was on a collision course with a threat beyond imagination. Jake steeled himself and opened a secure channel to Earth's Central Command. "This is Senior Diplomat Jake Morrison. Priority Alpha Communication. Our worst fears have been realized. The Galactic Council has revealed its true nature. They've committed genocide against the Zorans, and humanity is likely next on their list." He paused, knowing his next words would set in motion events that could never be undone. "As of this moment, we are at war with the Galactic Council. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all." The transmission sent, Jake set course for Earth, the weight of the galaxy's future heavy on his shoulders. Behind him, the stars burned with an ominous new light, herald of the chaos to come. Humanity unleashed. The United Earth Government War Room thrummed with barely contained chaos. Holographic displays flickered with real-time data streams, threat assessments, and force deployments. At the center of it all stood Admiral Helena Vasquez, her weathered face set in grim determination as she addressed the assembled leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen, the situation is clear. The Galactic Council has shown its true colors, and humanity stands on the brink of extinction." Her voice cut through the murmurs of the room. "Ambassador Morrison's evidence is irrefutable. The massacre of the Zorans was just the beginning. We must act decisively." President Kwan, her usually composed demeanor cracking under the weight of the crisis, spoke up. "And what would you have us do, Admiral? Launch a suicidal assault against an enemy that outguns us 1,000 to 1. With all due respect, Madam President," General Octavio Reyes interjected, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused, "we may have an option that levels the playing field." He tapped a command into his neural interface, and a new hologram sprang to life in the center of the room. Project Nemesis. The assembled leaders gasped, some in awe, others in horror. The classified super soldier program had been mothballed years ago, deemed too risky, too ethically dubious to pursue. But desperate times called for desperate measures. "You can't be serious," Dr. Ilara Chen, the Secretary of Science, protested. "The physical and psychological augmentations required, it's tantamount to creating human weapons. We'd be no better than the Council." Admiral Vasquez's steely gaze swept the room. "And if we do nothing, we're lambs to the slaughter. At least this way, we have a fighting chance." The debate raged for hours, ethical concerns warring with the instinct for survival. In the end, pragmatism won out. With a heavy heart, President Kwan gave the authorization. Project Nemesis was a go. Deep beneath the Olympus Mons military complex on Mars, Captain Zoe Blackwood opened her eyes for the first time in 6 months. The cryostasis pod hissed as it opened, and she took her first breath of recycled air. Her body felt different, stronger, faster. Her mind raced with tactical assessments of her surroundings at a speed that would have been impossible before. "Easy there, Captain," a familiar voice said. Dr. Victor Novak, the lead scientist of Project Nemesis, helped her sit up. "How do you feel?" Zoe flexed her hands, marveling at the new sensations. "Like I could tear a battleship in half with my bare hands," she replied, her voice a low growl that surprised even her. Novak nodded, a mix of pride and concern on his face. "The augmentations were successful then. You and your team are the first. Our best hope." As if on cue, the other pods in the room began to open. 5 more soldiers, handpicked from Earth's most elite special forces, emerged. Each moved with a predatory grace, their eyes shining with an almost preternatural awareness. Colonel Sarah Harper, the ranking officer, stepped forward. Her skin rippled with subdermally implanted smart armor. "What's the situation, Doc? Last I remember, we were volunteering for a classified upgrade program. Now it feels like I've got a tactical supercomputer for a brain." Dr. Novak's expression turned grim. "The galaxy's gone to hell, Colonel. I'll let Admiral Vasquez explain. She's waiting for you in the briefing room." The next few hours were a whirlwind of information. The team learned of the Zoran massacre, the impending threat to Earth, and their role as humanity's secret weapon. Each member of Nemesis Squad processed the information with enhanced cognitive speed, formulating and discarding hundreds of strategies in seconds. "Your first mission," Admiral Vasquez explained, her hologram flickering slightly in the secure briefing room, "is to infiltrate the Galactic Council's primary shipyard in the Arcturus system. We need intel on their fleet capabilities, and if possible, we need you to sabotage their production facilities." Captain Blackwood, now fully suited in cutting-edge stealth armor, nodded. "Rules of engagement, Admiral." Vasquez's hologram seemed to age years in an instant. "The gloves are off, Captain. We're fighting for the survival of our species. Just try to remember your humanity in the process." As the briefing concluded, Colonel Harper addressed her team. "This is what we were made for, Nemesis. We're the monsters humanity created to fight the monsters out there. Let's show the galaxy why you don't mess with Earth." The Arcturus shipyards were a marvel of alien engineering. Massive construction bays stretched for kilometers, automated assembly lines churning out warships at an alarming rate. Nemesis Squad's infiltration had gone flawlessly, their enhanced bodies and minds allowing them to slip past security measures thought impenetrable. Now, as they made their way to the central control hub, the true scope of the Council's military might become apparent. It was overwhelming. "There's no way we can fight this head-on," Lieutenant Koda whispered, his cybernetically enhanced eyes scanning the shipyard's defenses. "Even with our upgrades, we'd be space dust in seconds." Captain Blackwood's mind raced through scenarios, her tactical implants interfacing with the data they'd gathered. "We don't have to fight it. We just have to make it fight itself." She outlined her plan, and the team moved into action. While Harper and Koda created a distraction in the lower levels, Blackwood and the others fought their way to the main computer core. The aliens never stood a chance. Nemesis Squad moved like ghosts, their augmented strength and speed making them nearly invincible in close quarters. When they encountered heavier resistance, their experimental weapons, reverse-engineered from captured Council tech, proved devastatingly effective. In the computer core, Blackwood's fingers flew over the alien interface, her neural implants translating and processing the data streams in real time. "I'm in," she announced after what seemed like hours but was only minutes. "Uploading the virus now." The virus, a masterpiece of human ingenuity combined with the squad's enhanced intelligence, wormed its way through the shipyard systems. Suddenly, alarms blared and chaos erupted. "What did you do?" Sergeant Chen asked, her voice filled with awe as they watched through the viewport. Blackwood allowed herself a grim smile. "I convinced their ships that everything else is an enemy. They're tearing each other apart." The team watched as the shipyard descended into pandemonium. Newly constructed warships opened fire on their neighbors, assembly lines turned their robotic arms on each other, and defense systems targeted their own installations. "Time to leave," Colonel Harper ordered. "We've overstayed our welcome." As Nemesis Squad fought their way back to their stealth ship, the full impact of their actions became clear. The Arcturus shipyards, crown jewel of the Council's war machine, was eating itself alive. It would take years, if not decades, to rebuild. Back on Earth, Admiral Vasquez reviewed the mission logs with a mixture of horror and pride. Nemesis Squad had succeeded beyond her wildest expectations, but the level of devastation they had wreaked gave her pause. "We've given ourselves a fighting chance," she mused to President Quan. "But at what cost to our souls?" Quan's hologram nodded solemnly. "We've opened Pandora's box, Helena. God help us all if we can't close it again when this is over." As reports of the Arcturus disaster spread through Council space, other alien races began to take notice. The invincible Galactic Council didn't seem so invincible anymore. And humanity, the upstart species they had dismissed as primitive, had just announced its presence on the galactic stage in a way that could not be ignored. The war for survival had begun, and Nemesis Squad was just getting started, forging unlikely alliances. The cloaked human vessel, Shadow Strike, drifted silently through the debris field that was once the vibrant Zoran homeworld. Captain Zoe Blackwood stood at the viewport, her enhanced eyes picking out details no normal human could perceive. Amid the devastation, a faint energy signature pulsed, barely detectable even to the ship's advanced sensors. "There," she pointed. "That's no natural formation." Colonel Harper nodded, her tactical implants already plotting an approach vector. "Good eye, Captain. Might be our ticket to turning this war around." As the Shadow Strike maneuvered through the debris, the team prepared for insertion. Their mission: to make contact with any Zoran survivors, and, if possible, forge an alliance against the Galactic Council. The ship touched down on a large asteroid that had once been part of the Zoran capital city. As Nemesis Squad disembarked, the true scale of the destruction became apparent. Yet, improbably, signs of life persisted. Dr. Ilara Chen, the team's xenobiologist, activated her scanner. "I'm picking up life signs. Faint, but definitely Zoran. They'd gone deep underground." Suddenly, a telepathic voice boomed in their minds, nearly overwhelming even their enhanced neural defenses. "Into years, you trespass on sacred ground." The team instinctively raised their weapons, but Captain Blackwood held up a hand. "We come in peace," she projected her thoughts, hoping their intentions would carry through. "We seek alliance against our common enemy." For a moment, silence reigned. Then, with a grinding of stone, a hidden entrance revealed itself. A lone figure emerged, tall, ethereal, but bearing visible scars of recent trauma. "I am Zura," the Zoran said, both aloud and telepathically. Once ambassador, now keeper of my people's last refuge. You claim to be enemies of the Council. Colonel Harper stepped forward, her cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the alien. We are. We've struck a blow against them, but we need allies to win this war. Zara's large, luminous eyes studied each member of Nemesis Squad in turn. You are changed, enhanced. You walk the dangerous path between sentience and weapon. We do what we must to survive, Blackwood replied. After a long moment, Zara nodded. As do we all. Come, there is much to discuss. Deep within the asteroid, the surviving Zorans had created a hidden sanctuary. Thousands of refugees huddled in vast caverns, their telepathic murmurs a constant background hum. At the heart of the complex, a pulsating crystal structure dominated the central chamber. The heart of Zora, Zora explained. It amplifies our telepathic abilities, allowing us to coordinate and shield our presence from the Council's sensors. Dr. Chen's eyes widened. Remarkable. With this technology, we could revolutionize our communication systems, maybe even develop new forms of FTL travel. Zara's expression turned grave. It is not technology, Dr. Chen. It is life. The crystalline structure is a symbiotic organism, as much a part of our species as your blood is to you. The implications hung heavy in the air. An alliance with the Zorans wouldn't just mean additional fighters or resources. It could fundamentally change humanity's place in the galaxy. As discussions progressed, Nemesis Squad shared intelligence on Council movements and their own successful strike against the Arcturus shipyards. The Zorans, in turn, revealed the true extent of their telepathic abilities, including the power to influence the minds of other species. We have always used this gift sparingly, ethically, Zara explained. But now we may have no choice but to weaponize it. The moral quandary wasn't lost on the human soldiers. They, too, were walking weapons, their humanity balanced on a knife's edge. But before they could delve deeper into the implications, alarms blared throughout the complex. Council ships, a Zoran scout, announced telepathically. They found us. Chaos erupted as the Zoran refugees scrambled to evacuate deeper into the asteroid. Nemesis Squad, along with Zora and a handful of Zoran warriors, raced to the surface to buy time. As they emerged, they saw a Council battle cruiser looming overhead, its weapons primed. Dropships were already descending, carrying squads of elite Drachid shock troops. This is it, Colonel Harper growled, her smart armor shifting to match the asteroid's surface. Zara, get your people to safety. We'll hold them off. But Zara stood firm. No, we fight together. What followed was a battle unlike any in galactic history. Nemesis Squad unleashed their full, terrifying potential, moving faster than the eye could track, shrugging off wounds that would kill a normal human, and employing combat techniques that bordered on precognition. The Zorans, for their part, demonstrated why the Council had feared them so. Their telepathic abilities sowed confusion among the enemy ranks, causing Drachid soldiers to turn on each other or simply collapse, their minds overloaded. Captain Blackwood found herself fighting back-to-back with Zora. The humans' enhanced strength and speed complemented the Zorans' telepathic assaults perfectly. Together, they carved a path through the enemy forces, pushing them back towards their dropships. But the Council battle cruiser loomed ever-present, threatening to end the battle with a single devastating strike. The ship, Zara communicated telepathically to Blackwood. If we could breach its defenses. Blackwood's tactical implants were already formulating a plan. Can you get us up there? Zara's eyes widened. It's never been attempted at this distance. But, yes, brace yourself. The world shifted, blurred, and suddenly Blackwood found herself on the bridge of the Council ship, Zora beside her. The alien crew stared in shock, frozen for a crucial moment. It was all the time they needed. Blackwood's enhanced body moved with lethal precision, neutralizing threats before they could react. Zara's telepathic assault left the ship's captain a drooling mess. Within minutes, they had control. Nemesis Squad, stand by for extraction. Blackwood calmed. We've got a new ride. As the captured Council ship broke orbit, carrying both human and Zoran refugees, the unlikely allies gathered on the bridge to assess their victory. This changes everything, Colonel Harper mused, studying the advanced alien controls. With this ship and the Zoran's abilities, we might actually have a chance. Zara nodded solemnly. Yes, but the path ahead remains treacherous. The Council will not rest until we are destroyed. All of us. Dr. Chen, who had been analyzing the ship's database, suddenly gasped. Colonel, Captain, you need to see this. On the main view screen, schematics for a massive structure appeared. A ring-shaped megastructure of impossible scale. It's some kind of super weapon, Chen explained, her voice hushed with awe and horror. Designed to rewrite the fundamental laws of physics within our galaxy. The implications were staggering. Such a weapon could not only win the war, but reshape reality itself. Captain Blackwood's enhanced mind raced through the possibilities. We need to find it. Destroy it if we can. Capture it if we must. Zara placed a hand on Blackwood's shoulder, a gesture of solidarity that bridged their alien physiologies. Together, she said simply. As the Council ship accelerated towards Earth, carrying news of both hope and grave danger, the unlikely alliance of humans and Zorans steeled themselves for the challenges ahead. The war for survival had evolved into something far greater, a battle for the very nature of existence itself. The tide turns. The war room of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters buzzed with a newfound energy. Holographic displays showed the captured Council battle cruiser, now christened Hope's Vanguard, in orbit around Earth. Admiral Vasquez stood at the center, her weathered face set in grim determination as she addressed the assembled leaders and the newly formed Human-Zoran Joint Command. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored Zoran allies, she began, her voice carrying the weight of countless battles. Thanks to the heroic efforts of Nemesis Squad and our Zoran friends, we finally have a fighting chance. But make no mistake, the real battle is just beginning. Dr. Chen stepped forward, activating a holographic display of the mysterious ring-shaped superweapon. We've analyzed the data from the Council ship. This device, which they call the Cosmic Forge, is capable of altering the fundamental constants of our universe within a localized area. In the wrong hands, it could render entire star systems uninhabitable or worse. A murmur of concern rippled through the assembly. Zara, acting as the voice of the Zoran refugees, spoke up. My people have legends of such a device, created by an ancient race we call the Precursors. We always believe them to be myths. If the Council has found it, then we need to find it first, Captain Blackwood interjected, her enhanced mind already formulating strategies, or at least prevent them from using it. Colonel Harper nodded in agreement. We'll need every advantage we can get. Dr. Chen, what's the status on reverse engineering the Council's cloaking technology? Chen's eyes lit up with excitement. We've made a breakthrough. By combining Council tech with Zoran crystal organic interfaces, we've developed a cloaking device that can shield an entire fleet. It's not perfect. It can't hold up under intense scanning, but it should give us the element of surprise. Admiral Vasquez allowed herself a small smile. Excellent work. Now let's talk about our next move. The Council will be reeling from the loss of their ship and the Arcturus shipyards, but they'll adapt quickly. We need to strike hard and fast. As the strategy session progressed, a plan began to take shape. The newly cloaked Earth fleet, bolstered by Zoran refugees and their telepathic abilities, would launch a series of lightning raids on key Council installations. Meanwhile, Nemesis Squad would lead a covert mission to locate the Cosmic Forge. But just as hope began to flourish, alarms blared throughout the facility. Multiple Council ships dropping out of FTL, a sensor operator shouted. They'd found us. Space above Earth erupted into chaos as the Council fleet emerged from hyperspace. Dozens of battlecruisers and hundreds of smaller craft filled the sky, their weapons primed and ready. How did they find us so quickly? Colonel Harper demanded as Nemesis squad raced to their positions. Zara's eyes widened in realization. The Hope's vanguard. They must have had a hidden tracker we missed. There was no time for recriminations. The Earth defense grid sprang to life, filling space with a web of energy beams and missile contrails. The Hope's vanguard, piloted by a joint human-Zoran crew, moved to engage the lead Council ships. But it wasn't enough. The Council's numerical superiority was overwhelming, and their technology was still ahead of Earth's jury-rigged defenses. Explosions blossomed in orbit as human ships fell to concentrated fire. On the ground, Captain Blackwood coordinated with Zoran telepaths to enhance Earth's defensive strategies. The aliens' ability to quickly share complex tactical information gave human forces a crucial edge, allowing them to adapt to the Council's attacks with unprecedented speed. Dr. Chen's voice crackled over the comms. The cloaking device is ready, but we only have enough power to shield the primary fleet. Admiral Vasquez made the call. Do it. All ships. Execute Operation Phantom Strike. In an instant, the bulk of Earth's remaining fleet vanished from both visual and sensor detection. The Council forces faltered, suddenly finding themselves firing at empty space where targets had been moments before. Taking advantage of the confusion, Earth's cloaked ships struck from unexpected vectors. Council vessels erupted in flames as human and Zoran gunners, their accuracy heightened by telepathic coordination, landed precision hits on vital systems. But the Council Admiral was no fool. Realizing the tide of battle had shifted, he played his trump card. A massive portal tore open in space, dwarfing even the largest battlecruisers. From it emerged a nightmarish bioweapon, a writhing mass of tentacles and caustic flesh that defied conventional physics. By the spirits, Zara gasped. It's a void kraken, a creature from the space between realities. The Council has gone mad. The void kraken lashed out, its tentacles phasing through shields and hull plating as if they weren't there. Entire ships, both human and Council, were crushed or pulled into the interdimensional rift that served as the creature's maw. Fall back, Admiral Vasquez ordered. All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance. As Earth's forces pulled back, the void kraken turned its attention to the planet itself. Tentacles longer than continents reached down, their touch causing localized reality failures wherever they landed. In the chaos of retreat, Nemesis squad found themselves cut off from extraction. Captain Blackwood watched in horror as a tentacle descended towards their position, knowing that no amount of enhancement could save them from this threat. But then, something extraordinary happened. Zara and a group of Zoran elders stepped forward, their hands linked. As one, they reached out with their minds, not to attack, but to communicate. The void kraken paused, its writhing form stilling for a moment. Then, to the astonishment of all, it began to withdraw. "What did you do?" Blackwood asked, awe in her voice. Zara turned, her form glowing with expended psychic energy. "We showed it the beauty of our reality, the richness of life here. It is a curious being, not inherently malevolent. The Council enslaved it, but now it is free." As the void kraken retreated through its portal, taking several Council ships with it, the tide of battle decisively turned. Earth's cloaked fleet pressed their advantage, decimating the remaining Council forces. In the aftermath, as the fires of battle cooled and damage reports flooded in, the true cost of the victory became clear. Millions dead, entire cities devastated by reality fluctuations, and the certainty that the Council would return with an even greater force. But they had won. Earth had stood against the full might of the Galactic Council and emerged victorious. The legend of humanity's defiance would spread across the stars, a beacon of hope for other oppressed species. In the war room, battered but unbowed, Admiral Vasquez addressed the weary defenders. "We've bought ourselves time and proven that we can stand against them. But this war is far from over. The Cosmic Forge is still out there, and now we know the full extent of the Council's willingness to use forbidden weapons. Captain Blackwood, her enhanced form bearing new scars from the battle, stepped forward. "What's our next move, Admiral?" Vasquez's eyes hardened with determination. "We take the fight to them. We find the Cosmic Forge, we dismantle their war machine, and we build a coalition of every species that's ever suffered under Council rule." As the room erupted in determined cheers, Zora approached Blackwood. "Your people have shown incredible strength and adaptability," the Zoran said. "But to win this war, we'll need to do more than fight. We'll need to evolve, all of us." Blackwood nodded, understanding the weight of Zora's words. The battle for Earth was won, but the war for the galaxy's future was just beginning, and it would require them to push the boundaries of what it meant to be human, Zoran, or any sentient being. As the first light of a new dawn broke over a scared but unbroken Earth, humanity and its allies steeled themselves for the challenges ahead. The tide had turned, but the greatest tests were yet to come. A new dawn. The Council homeworld of Apex Prime loomed large in the viewscreen of the Hope's vanguard. Once a shining jewel of galactic civilization, it now bristled with defenses, a fortress world preparing for its final stand. Captain Zoe Blackwood stood on the bridge, her enhanced senses taking in every detail of the enemy stronghold. "Quite a welcoming committee," Colonel Harper remarked, her cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the defenses. "Looks like they've thrown everything they have into protecting the Cosmic Forge." Zara, her ethereal form seeming to shimmer with barely contained energy, nodded gravely. "The Council knows this is their last chance. If we capture the Forge, their reign is over." Admiral Vasquez's hologram flickered to life in the center of the bridge. "All ships report ready. Operation Daybreak is a go. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all." As the transmission ended, Blackwood turned to her crew, a mix of enhanced humans, Zorans, and representatives from a dozen alien races that had joined their cause. "You all know what's at stake. Not just our lives, not just our worlds, but the very nature of reality itself. Whatever happens down there, it's been an honor serving with each of you." With a collective nod of determination, Nemesis Squad and their allies boarded their dropships. As they launched towards the planet's surface, the space around Apex Prime erupted into chaos. The combined fleet of the Anti-Council Alliance decloaked, catching the orbital defenses off guard. Ships of all shapes and sizes, from Earth battlecruisers to organic Zoran vessels to repurposed Council defectors, engaged in a furious battle. The void filled with energy beams, missile contrails, and the psychic shock waves of Zoran telepathic assaults. But it was all a distraction. The real battle would be won or lost on the ground. Nemesis Squad's dropship bucked and weaved through a storm of anti-aircraft fire. At the last moment, Zara and her Zoran acolytes generated a telepathic shield, allowing them to crash land near the Cosmic Forge's control center. As they emerged from the wreckage, the full scale of the conflict became apparent. The skies of Apex Prime were on fire, debris from orbital battles raining down like hellish meteors. Council shock troops poured from fortified bunkers, while civilian protesters fought alongside the invaders, years of oppression finally boiling over. "Remember the plan," Blackwood shouted over the din of battle. "Harper, take your team and secure the primary power relays. Chen, you and the Zoran tech specialists head for the main computer core. Zara, you're with me. We're going for the Forge itself." As the squad split up, each group faced unique challenges. Harper's team encountered heavy resistance, their enhanced bodies and experimental weapons tested to their limits against the Council's most elite guards. Chen's group raced against time to hack the planet's defense grid, their efforts aided by the Zoran's ability to interface directly with the alien technology. But it was Blackwood and Zara who faced the greatest trial. As they fought their way to the heart of the facility, they encountered High Counselor Vex himself, the architect of the Zoran genocide, and the driving force behind the Council's tyranny. Vex's insectoid form had been grotesquely enhanced, a twisted mirror of Nemesis Squad's own modifications. "You dare to challenge the natural order?" He chittered, mandibles clicking in fury. "The Council has guided the galaxy for millennia. We alone have the wisdom to wield the forge." What followed was a battle that would be remembered for generations. Blackwood's enhanced strength and speed clashed with Vex's alien physiology and eons of combat experience. Zara's telepathic assaults met unexpected resistance. Vex's mind had been hardened against such attacks, a defense developed from studying captured Zorans. As they fought, the chamber housing the cosmic forge hummed with ever-increasing power. Arcs of energy that could rewrite the laws of physics lashed out randomly, narrowly missed by the combatants. "Zara, the forge," Blackwood yelled as she parried a vicious blow from Vex. "You need to shut it down." The Zoran nodded, disengaging from the fight and rushing towards the forge's controls. But Vex, realizing his plans were unraveling, made a desperate gamble. He produced a hidden weapon, a device that pulsed with the same energy as the forge. "If I can't have the galaxy," he snarled, "then I'll unmake it all." Time seemed to slow as Vex activated the device. Reality itself began to warp, the chamber twisting in impossible ways as fundamental constants began to shift. Blackwood felt her enhanced body begin to fail as the very laws that governed her existence fluctuated. But then, something remarkable happened. Zara, her form blazing with psychic energy, reached out not just with her mind, but with her very essence. She interfaced directly with the forge, her consciousness expanding to encompass the vast energies at play. "Captain," she called, her voice echoing strangely. "I can control it, but not for long. Whatever you're going to do it now." Through sheer force of will, Blackwood fought through the reality distortions. With one final, heroic effort, she lunged at Vex. Her enhanced fist connected with his carapace, shattering it, and sending the tyrant flying into the swirling vortex of unstable energy. As Vex's form dissipated, unmade by the very power he sought to control, Zora's voice rang out once more. "It's done. But the forge, it's too unstable. It's going to tear itself apart." Blackwood staggered to Zora's side, grasping her hand. "Then let's make sure it can never be used again. Together." Human and Zoran, their minds and bodies pushed to their absolute limits, worked in perfect synchronization. They guided the forge's energies, not to reshape reality, but to cancel itself out. The chamber filled with blinding light as the power of creation and destruction balanced on a knife's edge. And then silence. In the aftermath of the battle, as the dust settled on Apex Prime and 100 other worlds, the galaxy held its breath. The cosmic forge was no more, its reality-warping energies dispersed safely across the cosmos. The Galactic Council, its power broken and its lies exposed, collapsed under the weight of revolution. But the real work was just beginning. In the newly established Galactic Concord Chamber, representatives from every sentient species gathered to shape the future. Admiral Vasquez, now serving as Earth's ambassador, addressed the assembly. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice carrying the weight of hard-won wisdom. "We've seen the heights of scientific achievement and the depths of moral bankruptcy. We've witnessed the power to reshape reality itself, and the courage to say no. Some powers are too great." She gestured to where Blackwood and Zara stood side by side, symbols of the unity that had won the war. "Our strength lies not in dominance, but in diversity. Not in power, but in partnership. We must forge a new path, one that respects the rights of all sentient beings while pushing the boundaries of what's possible." As discussions began on the formation of a truly democratic galactic government, on ethical guidelines for genetic enhancement, on the responsible development of technology, a new age dawned. It would not be an easy path. Old hatreds and fears would not disappear overnight. But for the first time in millennia, the galaxy faced the future with hope instead of dread. Blackwood, her enhanced form battle-worn but unbowed, turned to Zara. "So, what now? Back to our own worlds to lick our wounds." The Zoran smiled, a gesture she had learned from her human friends. "No, my dear Captain. Now we explore. There are wonders out there beyond imagining, and it's time we discovered them together." As the first ships of the new Galactic Concord exploration fleet prepared to launch, carrying crews of humans, Zorans, and a dozen other species, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter. The galaxy had been forged anew, not by the power of ancient artifacts, but by the indomitable spirit of those who dared to dream of a better future. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and its light would shine for eons to come.